Hey, what up, guys? It's Kate up here. So last week I have access to a document from a design agency that I applied to. They are hiring a freelance gig. So that document, they asked me to fill in my information. They asked me to hey put your information on this list. So if we have future project coming up, then we'll reach out if you're a good fit. So in that document, I can also see a bunch of other people applying to the same job. So meaning that I can see like the portfolio from other designers and how much they're charging and all that. So I think it would be a funny video to make to just show you guys what I see in that document. Especially recently, I got quite a few comments on my channel asking me about tips on portfolio. So this list of designers I picked, they're all charging a lot of money. They're charging $110 to $150, and some of them are charging $190 and up. So I think it'll be a good to kind of show you guys, what expensive designer portfolio look like, so you kind of get a sense of, how much you should be charging as well, and how do you structure your portfolio. And well, not that necessary actually, not that structure your portfolio points, because I think like a lot of these designers may not be as the portfolio may not be what I would recommend. So I wouldn't say that these are the designer portfolio that you should follow. And to be very honest, I haven't even taken a look at these portfolio yet. I just kind of pop up a bunch of links. So it'll be fun to show you guys. And also another good thing about this is I want you guys to think about from an employee perspective, right? So the full list has around like 200 designers, and definitely I wouldn't have time to kind of go over all these designers, but you can see that when you get so many portfolio, as an employee perspective, right? Like how would you screen designers, right? Like how would you kind of go through all this portfolio? So I want you guys to think from a employee perspective, right? So I would just kind of quickly tell you my perspective, because like I hire quite a lot of designers as well to work on project with me, right? So usually when I go through a portfolio, there are only three things I look at. The first thing is your work. I think it's the most important thing that I want to see is what you can do for me, right? So your work is definitely the most important. The second one is, your personality, right? Like who you are you a fun person to work with? So like if there's anything that you can tell me more about yourself. And then the last one is your contact info, right? So how can I reach out to you if I want to hire you? So these are the three most important things about portfolio, in my opinion. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you guys my portfolio as well, right? So what my portfolio look like. So let's just jump right in and show you guys these designers. So this is the first portfolio that we're looking at. Again, right, I haven't looked at all of these before, so you guys are checking out directly with me. And all of these roles, they're applying for a digital product UI and UX role. So let's see if any of them make sense. So for this one, I'll just quickly go over it. I don't really see a lot of UI and UX stuff. I see a lot of, like cars and like magazine and things. So it's not as relevant as what I would be looking for if I'm hiring a UI and UX designers. Probably this one doesn't tell me much about it. So yeah, I don't know. Like I have 200 designers to go through, so probably I'll just next because it doesn't tell me much. Creative director designing. So email, name. Again, nothing to see in here. I don't know why would you send me this at all. So next as well. And then for this one, independent designers need working in New York City. So let's see. Again, right, this is for UI and UX role. Doesn't really show me any of the UI and UX work. Going in, this one looked like a website, so let's just check that out. Design director. Again, t-shirts. So it doesn't really show what I'm looking for, right? Instagram is definitely not part of UI and UX work. So next, this one, great. I love seeing Dribbble. Because it's just so easy, right? You see the work right away. I can see what you can do right away, which I think the work is really clean, right? I think that's great. And so yeah, in general, I think like for a portfolio like this, I'll just keep it and I'll go back to it. And especially like if I like your work, right, then I'll look into your about and learn more about you. And also you have a bunch of Instagram and stuff that I can kind of stalk you, right? I can see what kind of person you are. So yeah, that's perfect. This designer, I think it's great. I'll just keep his contact for now. And then next, this one again, right? UI and UX. I don't really see a lot of UI and UX work. I see some like poster design in here, or leaflet, or booklet design in here, but it doesn't really show me any of the UI and UX yet. again, like website design. So let's just click into it and see what's up in here. Business card, nothing much. So probably not what I'm looking for. Next. This one again, right? Like UI and UX designer, interactive. There's only like one thing that does with UI. Not what I'm looking for either. Next. This one is good. I saw some, like work in here. So I think my perspective is, if you're making a portfolio for yourself, the most important thing is you should make your work to be very, very obvious. And I notice a lot of design portfolio is, you have to really dig in to find the actual UI and UX work. So it's definitely not obvious, right? So if I have to spend so much time just digging through your portfolio to find the work, then that is not a very good experience that I will expect from an employer that are reviewing, 200 different portfolios. So keep that in mind. I see one that, kind of relate to what I do. UI and UX work, I think it's great. It's kind of clean. Some UX flow, I think that's good for now, but I really want to see more, right? It doesn't really tell me much. It's just one project for now. Nothing else that kind of relate to UI and UX too, right? I can really see the work. Again, this is not really relevant. So for a designer that's charging 110 and up, I think I would expect a lot more than that. So next, and just, personally, when I'm screening designers, I have a pretty high standard for what I want to hire, because when I'm hiring designer for my clients, I want to make sure that, this designer are top notch, right? They can really do the work and they are really worth, if I'm charging my client $150 or like $100,000 for a project, right? I want to give the best work possible. So my standards are pretty high when I'm screening designers. And that is what I would normally go through, right? So for this one, I guess like this one is the only one that I showed. And also, I think I talked about, you want to be kind of focusing on the niche, right? Like if I'm applying for a logo design role, then my portfolio should be a lot more focused on logo design. And if I'm applying for a UI and UX role, my work should be really focused on UI and UX. And I notice a lot of designers, they're really spread out, right? Like the work that you saw before, like all of these portfolio, they're really spread out. They have work that does, poster design, and then they have a lot of t-shirt design, logo design, but they're applying for UI and UX designer role, right? So I think the connection is a little bit missing there, right? So if you are a designer that's so spread out, I just don't know, man. I want to hire the expert in UI and UX, and that is, what my main focus, my main goal is in, right? So again, like this has a lot of poster designs. I don't know, like this is not really UI and UX, right? At this point, product design, packaging design, right? So it's not really hitting, and this is, product design work. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't really think it's that polished. One thing to pick about the sidebar too, you see, like I'm really picky about this little pixel thing, and you see that the top padding is not the same as the bottom padding. So the alignment here is a little bit missed, and just little things, right, will show that, if you are so focused on the pixel details or not. So, and this button here, right, what does it do? Oh, it's an email box. Oh, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't know, right? Like if you, like maybe at least I enter your email or whatever, right? So this little details is missed. So probably I'll next on this one as well. I probably don't have time to go through all this because it's just way too many, and I don't want to make the video to be extremely long. This one is good. One thing I do want to say is I noticed a new trend. Like the new trend right now is using like kind of gradient backgrounds like this in here. So this trend is very extremely popular right now, but in a sense that, I feel just very personal, right? I feel that like in a design trend like this, when you're solely just following the trend, I think it's lacking some personality, right? I want to see some personality in the designers, not just following what is the latest out there in the design community, right? If you go on Dribbble and you see latest, UI and UX design shots, they're very similar to this. Like they have a lot of gradient shadow on the button. It's just what is really hit and new. But I don't know. Personally, I want to see some personality in the work. And so far, this designer seems pretty solid, and I still have him in my backlog. And then next. Experience wise, right? Like when you're looking at that, it's fine. You have, your like telling who you are in the first page and then going right to the work. But then again, right, if your work is in a sidebar and this sidebar doesn't even have like a navigation, right? If I don't like the work, then have to tap in this little icon in here to go through it, and it's just so tiny to click on. At least you have a huge, next and like navigation on the side, right? That will help a lot. But just by looking at the work, I think his work is a little bit inconsistent too, right? Like I saw some pretty cool project in here. Um, like this seems pretty polished, and then maybe this some of the older work. What that one is just we passed, right? Like some of these work again, right? Like it's just a huge variety of work. But then I can't even go back to that one that I just saw. One of the recommendation for me to you guys is, on your portfolio, you want to make sure that all of your work are the same quality. Like some of your older work is definitely outdated and doesn't really reflect what you can do right now. And my recommendation is that whenever you see a work that is outdated and doesn't reflect your current skill level, remove those work, because I may be looking at that and thinking about, this is what you will be doing for me. So that will kind of make your portfolio not look as good. So this is what to keep in mind, right? Whatever you have like an older portfolio work, if it doesn't show what you can do, remove that, delete that. I'm gonna pass on this one as well. It just doesn't really reflect the skill level I'm looking for. It's especially if I'm paying $150 per hour for designers. I have a pretty high standard. I like this one. I like this guy. I think it's great. But again, right, like I said, a lot of gradient, a lot of like new trend techniques. So let's just dive deeper into it. I don't know how much UX thought is actually given to this dashboard. It seems like this dashboard is really really like a templates looking site. Again, right, like gradient, shadow stuff. It's very new, very hip, but a lot of these, see, like this guy has a lot of projects that are, imaginary project, right? He definitely didn't work for YouTube, but he has a project for YouTube, right? So there's like a lot of redesign. And when you have a bunch of work like that, right, like booking.com, I don't know if that's booking.com, but you have a lot of project like that, it just means that you don't have clients work, right? You don't have real work experience. And so you have to fill your portfolio with these kind of imaginary project, right? So that make yourself look kind of bad. And that's why one thing that I always say, right, don't do fake project, don't do imaginary project, right? Because it just kind of make your portfolio look not as professional. Right, you want to make yourself look like you have a lot of clients going on, you have a lot of work going on. So if you hire me, you know that I have dealt with a bunch of different situations and a lot of different people, and I am, very experienced. And again, right, I don't see that in this designers, especially, again, charging a lot of money. I'll pass. This guy, again, right, I don't know why you're hiding it behind, the name, right? Like if I have to hover over, it's kind of like hover to reveal. Why don't you just show me the work right away? Kind of thing, right? So that's kind of a miss again in my book. I don't really necessarily like the typography in here either. I feel that it's a little too weak, the fonts, right? The fonts weight should be a little bit more. And also, like if you're putting it in a markup like that, just pay a little bit more attention into this cropping, right? An iPhone wouldn't crop like this. So if you're putting in your portfolio, definitely pay a lot more attention to this kind of detail, right? Like, will in a real world situations, a task is cut off like that? Probably not, right? So meaning that your attention to detail is not as good. So again, I don't think it's worth, that price tag, and then I'll pass. So this one doesn't show me at all. Clients, Amazon, but show me the work from Amazon. Oh, advisor, comedian, screenwriter. So I don't know why this has nothing to do with UI and UX, so I'll just pass. Okay, for this one, so this is good. I see some UX, UI and UX design work. So right away on the portfolio, so that's pretty easy to follow from my perspective, and just quickly go over some of his work, right? So IKEA, very low resolution screenshot, and I can already see some misalignments here and there. See, like this is misaligned with the logo, and that's kind of sloppy design, I would say, and it just doesn't, you know, uh, why the checkout button is this huge, right? I don't know, not what I'm looking for either. So next. And also, yeah, just in general, I think the work quality is just not as good. Like this padding in here is not consistent with the padding above it. So I don't know. It's just how I would design normally, but that doesn't apply to everybody. But I'm like personally, I'm pretty picky about these little things. Again, right? Like I just don't think the work is that polished at that level. So next. We're almost done. So again, this guy right here, Korean American. So this has like some fancy scrolling effect going on this side. Coming soon, so there's no more work on the main page. So I'm gonna look into the case study. So again, right, I have to dig into the work. So that's like a step that I have to do to kind of find out what you can do, right? Certain human as a service, cross-platform fan experience. Again, right, it doesn't show me really. I only see like one ordering app, so I'm gonna tap into that. File not found. So yeah, I'll just next for now because it's just too much work for me to dig through your portfolio to find the work. Again, this one, right, doesn't really show me anything much going on in here. Again, I have to spend, I think for a lot of designers, right, if I have to spend so much time just sticking through your portfolio to find the case study, I would say it's already a mess, right? But he does pretty good work. Like, man, I like it. The visual, I think it's great. Like these are the level that I would say it's worth, $100 and up. So his portfolio wise, man, it's amazing. Like overall of this portfolio I found, this guy has the best looking work, has the best quality work. And you can really tell from a designers that know what design should look like, right? What design spacing should be and all that, right? The polish, the little details, pixel details about the design, right? You can really see in these designers. But all of this is very well defined. The button wise, typography wise and font choices, I think it's great. So yeah, you can really see the level of polish in his work, like typography big and small. And so yeah, this kind of typography can already tell what kind of level of designers you are, right? So just by the little details, you can really tell a designer is good or not. So I'll definitely keep this one, even though I don't see right away from his main page, but his work, like all of this typography, right? You can really tell a designer from good to bad. So yeah, so that's great. I'm gonna keep this one. I'll probably, if I'm a designer, if I'm an employer, I'll definitely contact this guy. I think his work is really polished. Two last. So again, nobody's gonna read all of that before you even tell me the work, right? So why would I care about what you say, who you are, than showing me the actual work, right? So I think the hierarchy is kind of messing this portfolio as well. I just scroll all the way down to see the work. Just show me the work right away, right? And then looking at that again, Koken. I think it's okay. It's probably not at the level that was bad from an expensive designers, but I think it's okay. I don't really like the grading here. And then also the padding, right? Like why this one has a less padding to the edge than this screen, right? So the padding is inconsistent in here. So this little detail can tell that, like how much attention you pay to your details, right? Are you using a grid when you're designing for your design work, right? So next. Pinterest. Wow, it's so tight. The spacing. Super tight. And what's there a lot of like left spacing in here, right? This seems like pretty flush to the edge. I don't know. I just feel that it's a little awkward for the spacing wise. But yeah, I think his portfolio has a lot of irrelevant stuff that I wouldn't be focusing on if I'm hiring a product designer. So overall, these are the two portfolios that I have left. And this one, I'll definitely rank this one a lot higher than this person too. It's just that I think this person's work, like comparing the shots, right, you can tell which designer has a more polished design style. So I will definitely rank this one as the top. So that's pretty much all the designers that I'm gonna review in this kind of portfolio showcase of popular designers. And so last but not least, I kind of share I mentioned that I'm gonna share my portfolio as well. And I think a lot of you guys have checked out my portfolio too. Like, it's no secrets, right? So this is my portfolio. So if you just take a look at that, right? That's my portfolio. I don't even use my personal portfolio anymore because, like I mentioned, right, like at the beginning of the video, like the most important thing for me as an employer looking at designers' work, I really want to see what you can do for me, right? So the work is the most important, and I think for Dribbble, it's doing exactly that, right? Show exactly what kind of work that I can do, right? So people can look into any of my project and just dig through them and see the design work that I do. If they want to know more about who I am, Dribbble is also a very, very good platform that people can just go into. So they can basically see all of my project here. And if they want to know more about who I am, they can go into my LinkedIn. They can go into other link that I provide, right? And on my LinkedIn here, so if they check on my resume, right? My LinkedIn here also says that I am like my little intro, and then I linked out my YouTube page in here. So if they want to know more about who I am, they can check out my YouTube channel, and some of the clients did check out my YouTube channel. So I think, like, in general, I don't really use my personal kind of my portfolio website anymore, because I think Dribbble is just doing all the things that I normally would be looking for when I'm thinking about hiring a designer. So I just don't spend too much time on my personal portfolio, and Dribbble really did help me to get a bunch of clients. So I think it definitely is working very well in a sense, just for finding design work. So that's pretty much all for this video. And if you like kind of how I go through design portfolios, and like if you think that if you're an employee you'll be looking the same thing as well, leave it in the comment section down below. And I definitely hope that this helped you to kind of figure out what your portfolio is going to be, because I know that a lot of you guys are struggling to build your own personal portfolio. So it's a long video, but hope it's helpful. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to my channel if you like my content. I'll talk to you guys next time. Cheers.